June agreement and the president's October commitment, the United States has disbursed $20 billion to a new World Bank fund that will provide economic support for Ukraine.
The United States just transferred $20 billion to Ukraine. This loan is backed by seized Russian assets. Meanwhile, newly elected President Trump seems to be extending an arm of friendship to China because he just invited President Xi Jinping to his January 20th inauguration. This is a shocking move no one saw coming and could be an indication of how Trump will relate to China. Russia's de-dollarization plan seems to have received a huge boost with the just concluded oil deal with India. This will be the biggest oil deal in history and could be the best push against the US dollar. First, let's address the $20 billion of Russian assets just handed over to Ukraine. In December 2024, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen announced a $20 billion loan to Ukraine, utilizing profits from immobilized Russian assets. This initiative is part of a broader $50 billion G7 Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Loans program, aimed at supporting Ukraine amid its ongoing conflict with Russia.
The G7 hopes to begin distributing funds from the $50 billion Extraordinary Revenue Acceleration Loan Initiative for Ukraine by the end of 2024.
This program, backed by the G7, aims to accelerate the flow of funds to Ukraine to help stabilize its economy, rebuild critical infrastructure, and support humanitarian needs. The program has committed $50 billion in loans to Ukraine. So this $20 billion is only a part of the money they plan to give out. These funds are sourced from various financial mechanisms, including profits generated from frozen Russian assets, contributions from member nations, and other international financial institutions. However, this program has also faced criticism, particularly from nations like Russia, which view the use of frozen assets as a violation of international norms. The British Chatham House says this should only be a last resort move as it is controversial. Additionally, some analysts warn that this approach could have unintended consequences, such as accelerating de-dollarization efforts as countries diversify away from assets held in Western financial systems. The decision to use profits from frozen Russian assets is unprecedented. It signifies a shift in international financial policies, where the assets of a sovereign nation are repurposed to aid another. This move has sparked global debate. People in support of it argue that it holds Russia financially accountable for its actions in Ukraine. But diplomats warn of potential repercussions. The reallocation of sovereign assets is making countries around the world not trust international financial systems. Politically, the timing of this financial maneuver is significant. With President-elect Donald Trump set to assume office in January 2025, there is uncertainty regarding the continuity of U.S. support for Ukraine. Trump has previously indicated a desire to reassess foreign aid commitments, suggesting that funding to Ukraine could be reduced or restructured after he takes office. This possibility raises concerns about the sustainability of Ukraine's financial support and the future of U.S. foreign policy in the region. Russia's reaction to the U.S. decision has been predictably negative. The Russian Foreign Ministry condemned the transfer, describing it as simply illegal. Such strong rhetoric suggests potential retaliatory measures, which could further strain diplomatic relations and escalate tensions between the two nations. Janet Yellen, who has been the serving Treasury Secretary since January 2021, has been an important figure in shaping U.S. financial policy. This decision could have only been approved by her office, which only increases the controversies around her as the Treasury Secretary. As Yellen prepares to step down, with Scott Bessent already nominated to replace her, this decision to fund Ukraine becomes a bigger issue. Scott Bessent is likely going to have problems with managing this when he takes over, because this decision does not align with what Trump wants. It is not just the US that is sending Russian money to Ukraine. The United Kingdom also provided £2 billion in financial aid to Ukraine just recently. This funding is in addition to other types of aid the UK has provided, such as military equipment and humanitarian assistance. The UK has also been one of the strongest supporters of sanctions against Russia, and has pushed for tough international measures on Russia. However, some people are worried about the high costs of helping Ukraine. Critics in the UK have questioned whether this money could be better spent at home. But the UK government is backing this loan with seized Russian assets, meaning if Ukraine is unable to repay, then those Russian assets would be used to pay back the loan instead. Giving $20 billion to Ukraine is not the only thing the US is doing. In a controversial move, President Joe Biden decided to forgive $4.7 billion in loans previously granted to Ukraine. This decision comes at a time when the United States is deeply divided on financial support for Ukraine, with many members of Congress opposing further aid. Critics in Congress argue that forgiving such a large amount weakens accountability. These criticisms are especially from the Republican Party, who believe that U.S. funds should prioritize domestic issues like healthcare, infrastructure, and education. They also fear that unlimited financial support could anger American voters who are already concerned about rising inflation and government debt. In retaliation, Russia has already taken control of several foreign businesses that left the country due to sanctions, claiming their operations as state property. If Russia follows through on these threats, it could have a destabilizing effect on Western financial systems. Businesses and investors would face enormous losses, which might discourage future investments in countries where governments could seize assets as retaliation. This, in turn, could destroy trust in the stability and predictability of international markets. The risk of asset seizures would likely push global investors to reconsider where they place their money, possibly avoiding regions with high geopolitical tensions. Talking about geopolitical tensions, the UD and China may have a surprising partnership soon. In a move as unexpected as it was bold, President-elect Donald Trump extended an invitation to Chinese President Xi Jinping to attend his upcoming inauguration. Unsurprisingly, Xi declined the invitation. Nevertheless, what Trump did was surprising and has sparked global debate, leaving analysts struggling to understand what this could mean. Historically, U.S.-China relations have been filled with tension, which showed up in disputes over trade, intellectual property, and military threats. Trump's invitation represents a clear departure from his usual rhetoric and actions against China. However, now that the invitation has been declined, the question arises: will Trump revert to his previously hostile stance toward the People's Republic? During his campaign, Trump positioned himself as a fierce critic of China. He condemned its economic policies, accused the country of currency manipulation, and vowed to impose tariffs to protect American industries.
We will be charging China an additional 10% tariff above any additional tariffs on all of their many products coming into the United States of America.
This aggressive tone suggested that the U.S. and China were going to have more problems under Trump, but the invitation to Xi showed that Trump could be more willing to work things out with China. Whether this marks a genuine attempt at making things good between both countries or it is just a political maneuver remains unclear. What Trump did is something that has never been done before. No Chinese leader has ever attended a U.S. presidential inauguration, and the mere suggestion makes us look at international diplomacy differently. Historically, such events have been reserved for allies and close partners of the United States, not nations with whom relations are strained. This invitation is also different from the style and approach of Trump's predecessor, Joe Biden, whose administration focused on strengthening alliances to counter China's growing influence. Biden emphasized building coalitions with partners like Japan and South Korea, which counters China's influence in Asia. Trump's move, on the other hand, appears to emphasize personal diplomacy over institutional strategies. Analysts wonder if this reflects Trump's belief in his ability to personally manage complex relationships, or a broader shift in U.S. foreign policy under his leadership. The implications of this invitation are serious. If Xi had attended the inauguration, his presence would have symbolized the two countries fixing their relations, which would be a rare sight amid the ongoing tensions. However, it would also cause scrutiny. Critics of China's policies, particularly its actions in Xinjiang and Hong Kong, might view this as a weakening of the United States' determination to hold Beijing accountable. Furthermore, Xi's attendance could complicate U.S. relations with allies that don't trust China's regional ambitions. Trump is known for creating a spectacle. He likes doing things that get the media talking. So, could this be the aim? His past negotiations with North Korea's Kim Jong-un demonstrated his interest in dramatic gestures aimed at breaking diplomatic deadlocks. By inviting Xi, Trump might be attempting a similar situation, positioning himself as a leader capable of talking with dictators such as Xi. Yet, this approach carries risks. A misstep could embolden China while alienating key partners. Allies like Japan and South Korea, who share concerns about China's assertiveness, might perceive this as a weakening of U.S. commitment to their security. Such outcomes could undermine broader regional stability, complicating an already delicate balance of power in Asia. The invitation must have placed Xi Jinping in a difficult position. If he had accepted, it could be interpreted as a willingness to engage in dialogue, potentially easing tensions and fostering economic cooperation. However, he also risked appearing weak, a perception that might not sit well with his domestic audience. National pride and resistance to Western influence are important to China's political narrative. Any move that suggests that China's bowing to the US could weaken Xi's standing at home. However, this move could have also worked to Xi's advantage. Accepting the invitation had the potential to position China as significant in Trump's eyes, marking a historic first of its kind. Attending Trump's inauguration could have signaled China's openness to negotiation, possibly gaining in areas like trade or technology. But since Xi rejected the invite, it reinforced China's image as a global power unwilling to bow to US pressures. Xi Jinping's refusal of this gesture underscores Beijing's mistrust and its unwillingness to engage on Washington's terms. The US may have to worry about India and Russia too, because they just entered a deal that could crush the US dollar. In a groundbreaking development, Russia and India have solidified their economic partnership by signing their largest ever bilateral oil agreement, valued at $13 billion. The deal, spanning 10 years, was created between Russia's state-owned oil giant Rosneft and India's private refining leader Reliance Industries. In the 10 years, the two countries would have transacted about $130 billion. This is a lot of money that would have a big impact on global oil sales. Under its terms, Russia will supply India with nearly 500,000 barrels of crude oil daily, marking a significant milestone in their energy collaboration. This agreement comes at a crucial time for both nations. For Russia, struggling under Western sanctions, the deal provides a vital economic lifeline. India's currency will be a big benefactor too, as the two countries experience increased trade that does not use the dollar. Although Russia is forced to sell its crude oil at discounted rates, it still secures a stable revenue stream from this deal, which offers much-needed financial relief. Meanwhile, for India, which is heavily reliant on energy imports, the arrangement ensures an affordable and consistent supply of crude oil, essential for powering its rapidly growing economy and supporting its industrial and transportation sectors. The implications, however, extend far beyond economic benefits. By strengthening its energy ties with Russia, India is making a bold geopolitical statement. This strategic partnership allows India to assert its independence on the global stage, resisting Western pressure and countering China's growing influence over Moscow. Because of this, Russia is setting up businesses in India. Could this agreement signal a shift in regional dynamics, positioning India as a key player in the evolving global order? One of the most transformative aspects of the deal lies in its financial framework. Payments will be conducted outside US-controlled systems, a move that challenges the dominance of the dollar in global trade. By opting for alternative currencies, Russia and India are actively reducing their reliance on the dollar-centric financial system. This step aligns with the broader efforts of cutting down demand for the dollar by BRICS nations. This deal is also expected to strengthen the use of BRICS currencies in international trade, as these nations work to increase their share in cross-border transactions and debt securities. If this trend continues, the world may witness significant shifts in the distribution of economic power, moving toward a more diversified and multipolar financial system. Could this mark the beginning of a new era in global trade and diplomacy? To stay updated on global economic shifts, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss new videos. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.